Welcome back, everyone, to the Goddess Unleashed. I am your host, Shellie Carter, and today's segment we are covering a new face for marriage. I'm welcoming back our guest, Christina Vazquez. Christina, thank you for being here for segment 3 of our program.
Oh, very welcome. Very welcome, Shellie. Looking forward to it today.
Awesome. So in today's segment, a new face of marriage, we're going to be covering fear or love, ego or spirit. During this part of our journeys, there are many things we go through physically, emotionally, and spiritually. So I will also be talking a little bit later in the segment about some products that really help you to de-stress so you can think clearer and be at another place of peace while you're working through your transitions of healing your heart and soul wounds. And so I know, Christina, you had an area you wanted to start in your book, The Uncherished Wife, and chapter 8, page 76.
Yes. Okay. Where I was thinking, the name of the book is The Uncherished Wife, and that was a catch title. Doesn't necessarily have to be a wife. It could be a partner, a mate. But what I'd like to start with is page 76 at the very top. And I wanted to focus first on the word cherish, because that is a word that I think we hear, but we don't necessarily fully comprehend it, nor really put it into action in our relationships. And I certainly was guilty of that in my own. We've all heard it. So at the top of 76, we've all heard it before. We give time and attention to what we value. That's what cherishing is. When a woman is longing to be seen, valued, and delighted in, and she sees her husband year after year give more time and attention to planning his next fishing trip or detailing every nook and cranny of his motorcycle, then failing to give as much detail to what is supposed to be the love of his life, then what she experiences in her body, that's a strong word, is that you're a liar or that you're not being truthful with her. I'm going to add on there that the actual definition of cherish is, and I love this because this was definitely something I experienced, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it in my journey. We know we're loved. We might even hear we're loved. But cherish means to protect and care for lovingly, hold dear, and keep a hope or ambition in one's mind. So that to me is very different than just love.
Can you read that again? I just think that's so rich and so great. And words, like, we grow up with words and we don't even, a lot of times we don't put thought into what the actual meaning is. So I find for myself, a lot of times words that I hear on a regular basis, I'll look them up in the dictionary and it's like, oh,
yes,
okay, I'm not using this word in the right way, or I didn't realize the depth or the meaning of this word. So can you read that again for us?
Yes. Cherish, to protect and care for lovingly, hold dear, keep a hope or ambition in one's mind. I know it might be in the book or another definition is to hold up, hold one another up. You're cherishing it. So I agree with you. Yes. Often, even the word love is with couples. Well, I love you. Well, if you ask one person what love means and another, you might get two different definitions, or one what cherish means and another. So oftentimes in working with couples, I have them literally define their definition and find out if they're even on the same page, or they may be expecting things based upon their definition.
Yeah. And I know there's a book, I don't know the name of it, and it's the 5 languages of love?
5 love languages. Yes.
Yeah. And it's interesting how, what different people's needs are and what speaks to them in the way that they know that they're loved.
Correct. Would you like me to go into that? I'd be happy to.
Sure, let's take a minute and do that.
Okay, I'm going to differentiate between the 5 love languages, okay, which is in working with couples, that's probably I will call counseling 101 or couples counseling 101, because often we love people the way we want to be loved. So they are words of affirmation, physical touch, acts of service, gift giving, and quality. So one person feels loved by acts of service. That happens to be one of mine, acts of service. So, and I loving my husband, I'm running around doing all these acts of service when his love language is, that's great, but physical touch or words of affirmation is how I feel loved. So it becomes more selfless, and that it's not about how you feel loved. It's I have to go out of my comfort zone and love you in a language that speaks to you. And that is a really core theory that couples need to understand and utilize.
Yeah, and it's a game changer, because when you look at relationships and they say, well, you know, I'm giving 50% and I want you to give 50% or 100 or whatever that percentage is, it really isn't. So even in my walk, I've learned it's not so much what I want or I desire. I'll get what I need and want if that person knows what my love language is. And then there's discovery of me learning what that is.
Absolutely. And that is kind of that whole thing of the introspection of, you know, taking the time and say, what does make me feel loved? So there is a sorting process. And I take it even further to say, you know, unpack that for your spouse or partner. Give them tangible acts that, what is it? I love it when you bring me coffee in the morning, acts of service. I love it when you sit and ask me about my day, quality time. I love when you surprise me with my favorite ice cream, you know, that might be more gift giving. So what I have found the little catch up in that is oftentimes some will say, well, you know, I'm not as physical as them. Well, then maybe you're going to have to go a little bit out of your comfort zone, because do you or don't you want your partner to feel loved? And or I'm just not good at giving compliments. So you know what? Too bad that's your love language. But it has to be a selfless act, which again kind of goes into the topic today, ego versus spirit.
Yeah.
So ego is acting more from our needs and to preserve and protect us, where spirit is more other-centered and stretching us to a more unconditional love. So the other piece I wanted to, though, is, which I think is very key, and I do talk about it in the book, and I have found is an extremely useful tool as to kind of why I started this whole journey for myself, was we think of physical needs, okay? And in a more traditional model, we talk about, and I've heard this from men over and over, well, I don't understand. I provide a good living. You have a beautiful home. You have all your needs met. Very similar to when some of us baby boomers were growing up, right? Our parents were very good at the physical needs, but way underestimating the emotional needs. So I learned this off actually Tony Robbins, a great motivational speaker. The 6 human needs are loving connection, significance. I apologize for some reason. Significance. Significance is actually appreciation. Valued. And right now I am totally drawing a blank on this. I can't believe it. But the emotional needs are what truly keep the relationship thriving. That's where we get into the thriving. Okay. So
emotional needs you would say more of that heart connection that propels us
Correct.
to be with each other in the first place.
The heart connection, but really wanting to make that other person feel as though you know them. You are invested in them in a way, just like our children again. We would want our children to know that we love them, that we value them, that we care about their feelings, not just, well, you should be happy that, you know, you got food, shelter, and clothing. And we are emotional beings designed for connection. And I love that phrase. We are not starved for attention. We as a species, and I see it more and more, and definitely experienced it in my own life, are starved for connection. Connection's a whole different thing. It's somebody knowing you at the deepest level of your core, warts and all, and still saying, I love you and I accept you. And I love you enough to be patient with you to grow through some of these personal challenges.
Yeah.
Make sense? Yeah.
That's a gift. I look at that as that's a gift.
What do you mean?
When
That's
you
a gift.
find that person that can work with you through thick and thin and the different things that do come up in life for you and for that person.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a huge gift. I know I often hear from people, oh, that's pie in the sky, Tina. You know, that sounds good in theory, but it's not possible. I completely disagree. If two people, one, understand the basic human needs and are invested enough in the relationship to meet them with one another, meet them with one another, risk of the discomfort that it may take them through, the relationship can go to a completely different level that you wouldn't believe. I mean, they're your partner there to help you thrive and grow into your best version of yourself. And that's
but
where
I
I
don't think
truly
we're
believe.
taught that. I think we're taught, or the way society has it is that your heart pounds for this person and beats strong for this person. So you come together and that's the way it should be, and life should be happy ever after. So to actually know that you've got to actually work at the relationship, for some people, it's a new concept because they think things should be instant and should come easily. And then, so there's the point where you've been in your journey where you made a decision that, okay, this relationship is no longer working for me. I have my own work to do. And when you start that journey, I know it's not always, it's not fun, and it can be painful because you're actually literally looking at your own self and your own stuff. So what are some of the things that you did to help you get through your healing process in your relationship with your ex-husband or maybe your current husband, and then from you to you or yourself?
Okay, great.
What I will say is, what are the top 3 things that you did? Because I know you did many things. What are the top 3?
Yeah, like I said, I'm a personal development junkie here. By the way, I would like to clarify those human needs. Certainty, which is security. Variety, which is, I call variety, you know, a little spice, a little changing it up, a little, you know, throwing your partner, you know, off track. What do they call that? The element of surprise. Love and connection, significant. 6 needs actually go into the spiritual needs, which are growth and contribution. But I won't even get into that for today, because that is when a couple is really united and they see a bigger vision for their life, that they both are there to evolve and then eventually give back in a way. But what the big head is, I am a very emotional person. I'm very, very highly sensitive. maybe
Yeah.
an empath, have been my whole life. Unfortunately, when I married at a young age, my greatest need was security. Due to an absent father, due to lacking of a connected relationship with my father, and a very tumultuous home life, all I wanted was just somebody give me some security. Give me some consistency in life. It doesn't change from day to day. That's a very common one. We all, that as the hierarchy of needs, security is definitely needs to be met. But I was looking at it for something outside of myself. You will give me security. So,
so what are the top three things that you started with to help you on your healing journey?
Okay. Top three things is one, you going to, I'll call this my first marriage, going to them, trying to help, speak your truth. This is my heart. This is what I need. I need to feel understood. Maybe this isn't a big deal for you, but I need you to value and see me for who I am. So that I call it that kind of come to Jesus conversation of, these I know I need these things like bread and water. Okay. Seeing how that conversation goes. I mean, I was going to go a little bit into what emotional intelligence is. And as I went through that process, respectfully to my ex-husband, for whatever his conditioning was, it almost seemed as though he would scratch his head and not get it, but I don't understand. Why is this so important? There was definitely a disconnect. Went through counseling, therapy, discussions.
So in your book on page 67, you've listed a list of services or activities that you participated in your healing journey. So like from heart-centered hypnotherapy, essential oils, Reiki, EFT. So what would you say out of the 12 services you have listed are the top three that made the biggest difference for you?
The biggest one for sure was the heart-centered hypnotherapy. Definitely. After that, so the heart-centered hypnotherapy was because that helped me to learn to trust what I was feeling. So in my first marriage, I knew I was feeling a certain way, but there was a little bit of, really? Do you really feel that way? I thought I did. And you start to doubt yourself that maybe your emotional needs are unreasonable or utopia. And the nagging, my body kept telling me, then why do I feel so heavy, so empty, so starving for connection? So heart-centered hypnotherapy was probably the best thing I did to learn to trust my body and to trust my wisdom. Once I
there's a
began,
part, I was gonna say there's a part in the book that you wrote that I really, really love, because I think sometimes when people are looking to make a change in their life, they know that maybe there's some fear that's there, maybe there's some uncertainty, am I making the right decision for myself? And then they make that decision and that leap on how they're going to move forward in the relationship. Doesn't matter, men, women, and even self to self. And I like this part. It says, just like any military training, dig deep boot camp, quote unquote, requires commitment to yourself, the process, and to knowing that not changing is no longer an option. Good intentions, hope, and half-hearted attempts to rewire thought patterns or behavior is not commitment. Commitment to change only happens when going backward or remaining where you're at is not negotiable. So sometimes you have to take a step back before you can move forward. And a lot of times when you're making those emotional changes, there's a profound effect on the body, the mind, and the spirit. which is this, and this is the part where when I'm working with clients, I'll introduce some products. And for those of you that don't know, I work with Nature Sunshine Products. I have hundreds that I can work with. They're the company I love the best. One, because they've been in business for over 47 years. They've been certified organic, and they use the top quality part of the product only. And three of my favorite products, one is Distress Remedy. It is a flower essence, and it's amazing for emotional healing. So it can help with when people have issues of dealing with abuse, or maybe they're an abuser themselves. Will deal with trauma, anxiety, bulimia. It's a great children's remedy, defensiveness, failure to thrive, fear or excessive fear, neurosis, obsessive compulsive disorder, phobias, post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, shame, guilt, and shock. And so it's as a flower essence, you can actually take it under the tongue. And what I will do, because I work with a lot of people during the day, so I put it in a bottle and put some of the drops in there, succuss it, and I'll actually spray my energy field. And it's amazing how much calmer you feel. And, you know, I'm human too. I have my own emotional things that I work through, just like Christina and everybody else. And so it seems like it's an ongoing journey, like peeling that onion back one layer at a time. What I like to use in combination with that is called intestinal soothe and build. Just think that when you're stressed on the outside of your body, like a lot of people hold their stress in their neck or their shoulders. Sometimes the first area they feel is their heart or their gut. Consider you're stressed out on the outside of your body. You're going to feel that on the inside of your body also. And so the intestinal soothe and builds helps to soothe and calm down your whole digestive tract, your appendix, large intestine, your colon, my specialty area, all the mucous membrane. So, you know, a lot of times when we're under a lot of stress or we're dealing with emotional issues, we might find a little acid building up, or GERD, or acid reflux. This will help calm all those things down. It also affects the small intestine, stomach, and the thyroid gland. It has a calming and relaxing effect on your internal organs, so that as you're working through situations, you're actually nourishing your system. Sometimes we don't realize we've been on fire, on fight or flight for so long, we forget what it's like to actually have our bodies be calm inside and out. And then the third but not last product that's my favorite is called Stress J. It's an antispasmodic, it's a nervine, a relaxant, and a stomatic. The systems it affects is your adrenal, medulla, digestive system, your nerves, parasympathetic nervous system, and your thyroid. So all three of these together are a great combination. I do have an online store, so you can go to alderhealingcenter.mynsp.com. That's alderhealingcenter.mynsp.com. If you have questions about the products or how to use them, feel free to reach out to me. My information will be at the end of the program today. And with everything, Christina, that you're talking about, I just think in addition to those services and the things that you've done, that would be a great pairing. And so when you look at what your number two service that you partook in that made the biggest difference for you, what is that?
Something we both do, Shellie, which is emotional freedom technique.
One of my favorites.
Yes, EFT, tapping. Some people may know it as. Why tapping? And I teach it to my clients. I tell them, put this in your toolbox. When I was finally making the decision that this is time for me to leave, I was, as I've said before, dying within the relationship. I knew I wanted to keep evolving into a purpose. I was terrified on the inside. Where that terror came from, I didn't always quite identify in hypnotherapy. Yeah. I just knew a terror was coming over my body. And EFT, as you know, is just focusing on processing that emotion through your body, just getting it to move out the layers and layers so you can get to the clarity of what is true for you. So they were many unreasonable fears. Will I be okay? Can I do this? Fear of your future, all the above, hurting other
Mhm.
people.
Mhm.
I put it more into a life or death mode in my head. So
Yeah.
every time emotion, guilt and shame, all of it. So I would use EFT on myself personally several
Uh-huh.
times a day or as often as I needed
Yeah.
to. And I teach
Yeah.
it to my clients as a tool for when their emotions come up on this journey. Let's just keep them going. Let's get them going.
Yeah.
Don't let them lock in your body,
Yeah.
because
Well,
it's gonna.
and for those of you who don't know what EFT is, it's you're tapping on meridian lines that actually um, hold trauma. So when you're doing the tapping, it actually helps to release the trauma. And just like with what Christina is saying, as I've worked with it with clients, things have come to their remembrance that they forgot about, and that was a major trauma issue. And it was amazing just to see the heat, because you can actually, it's palpable. You can actually
Yeah,
see the healing occur in the middle of while they're working through it in the tapping. And
absolutely. And you feel the shift in the tapping.
yeah,
They
yeah,
feel that shift, and the layer coming out, have really good results with that. Probably the next one, Shellie, would be Reiki.
yeah.
Sometimes,
Ooh.
but
Well, you know me and Reiki, so go ahead.
yes, yes. Um, Reiki, again, a lot of times I think people, especially in the psychotherapy world, is, well, I don't want to go there. I don't want to have to revisit this trauma, or my childhood is behind me. What does that have to do with now? And
Yeah,
I have found through my own study, the theory so much isn't the story anymore. Not, we may have the memory of the story, but our body has the memory of the emotion. So I don't know where this anxiety is coming from. With Reiki, I love that it's more a receiving of healing, and
hmm,
it it allowed God, source energy, to come through you and do the work and do the healing where the healing was most needed. And I often will use that with a client when it's just like, you know, do I have to? Sometimes the hypnotherapy or the tapping is a little more mm, uncomfortable, maybe. There's a little level of discomfort for a short period of
now,
time
is
as we
that because of the emotions that are coming up? Is that why you're
yeah,
saying it might be uncomfortable?
yes, yes, where you
Okay.
have to actually be honest with yourself. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm angry, I'm ashamed of myself, I'm sad, and the grief is overwhelming me. It's not comfortable. But what I like are giving them a toolbox of salves to say there is support. And these are
Yeah.
wonderful tools because they actually work. You're moving energy, emotion through the body and releasing it. Um,
Yeah.
Reiki, I had trouble receiving. I'm a giver. I'm a giver. And what I loved about Reiki was it allowed me also, and I see that many with codependents, women, we're great at giving, but when we want to receive, we're almost uncomfortable with it. And just
Yeah.
allowing someone else to give to you and allow you to feel comforted through these emotions. So, for those listeners who don't know what Reiki is, what would you say, Shellie? I mean, I sometimes use healing touch,
Well,
and we know
oh my God.
the chakra system, but
Well, Reiki, my explanation of Reiki is balancing the energy field. So you've got 11 main chakras, you have meridians that run north and south, and then you have your auric field. So if I were to watch you on, who's that actor? The Terminator. And so
okay,
they'd see things with night vision goggles, and you'll not see the full definition of the body, but you'll see the body like an egg. So that's your energy field. And so we're working within that energy field because a lot of things will hit that field before it actually hits you physically. And so one of the things that the Reiki does, or any kind of energy work will do, is help to realign your energy field so that your body can then begin to heal itself. And so sometimes we work into the field, sometimes we touch the body. Some of us do more than Reiki, and it's a combination of different different modalities where deeper levels of healing are then created. And so a healing template is then created from there. I equate Reiki, to keep it simple. 1 hour of Reiki is like getting 6 hours of sleep. One of the main reasons is because it calms down the nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system. And then there's times I may bring color in. The color green helps to calm it down also. So that's my definition of short definition of what Reiki
Yes.
is and what it may provide. Now, when I work with people, I've had people come in with broken bones, leave with them healed. I've had people come in, liver enzymes off the chart, for 9 years. And then a week later, they come in and their test results show their liver enzymes in the normal range for the first time. And so, and one of the things that I tell people, because as we're working on a specific section of either the body, the mind, or the spirit, the energy is going to flow where the energy needs to go. So you're going to get what you came for and a whole lot more. It's amazing.
Yes, and I guess I equate that to, you're absolutely right. It's a balancing of the energy systems. And as I go to chiropractic as well on a personal level, and as we know, when the physical body is in alignment, the God-given ability for us to heal is automatic. I mean, we have a miraculous body and mind that knows how to heal. Both you and I are trying to get rid of the interference and the blocks that are holding us back from the body healing, or the mind, or the energy. Yes.
And the great thing I love about it with the services we both offer, it's complements any other type of service. So if somebody is seeing a physician and they're on medication, it won't interfere with any medication or service that you may be on. Or if you're doing pre or post surgical work, it's great to have the energy work done prior to get your energy field strengthened and set before you go into the surgery, and then afterwards. And I can't tell you how many times I've gone to the hospital for hospital visits or done home visits to help people heal exponentially faster in that process. So
yes,
amazing.
It is amazing. And I think I probably would not have gone through this journey, what I believe, successfully without these modalities. It would not, there is no way, because there was so much stuck energy in my body, past fears that were distortions that I needed to bring up, either clear or bring into the light, we'll say, and see truth about.
So it's funny because as you're talking right now, the song just popped, and I don't know who the artist is. That song, "Free Your Mind and the Rest Will Follow." So
I don't know that song either, but you're correct.
Somebody will let us know.
I guess somebody may type it in right now if you know it. And you know what I think, Shellie, as you just said that, what we're all looking for is freedom, and not freedom in this, like you say free to somebody and they think it means, what's the word? Chaotic, unhinged. No, we were designed to be free to be me. Isn't that another one? Or was that a TV show years ago? I don't know. And somehow we were told that we were free. Oh, that one too. Funny, as a child, that was one of my favorite songs. Born Free. I identified with it. But absolutely. This journey isn't always the most comfortable, but growth is not uncomfortable, or is not comfortable. And you paralleled it last time to the physical body, but it's leading to a goal.
And the amazing thing in the uncomfortableness, or what I will say, in the middle of the shadow or the darkness, there's always, once you can't go under it, you can't go over it, you have to work through it. And on the
Amen.
other side is where that
Amen.
joy is and where that peace is and that expansion of self and knowing who you are. So there's a part in your book here, as we're winding things up. It says where you can learn how to master the art of healthy conflict resolution that leads to deeper connection and intimacy instead of distance and disconnection. And I'm going to say that's for you, your partner, doesn't matter, male, female, child, and then also
No.
to yourself. And I think the most
Right.
important part of this is remembering yourself in the midst of everything. You are
Well,
here for a specific purpose and place and time. And so we're the only us that we can take care of us.
yes. And I'd like to go back to Shellie, if it's okay, when you talked about that partnership being a gift.
Yeah.
That we are here for a specific purpose, and I am passionate about helping women, because that is my population, discover
Yeah.
that, because there's nothing, in my estimation, the only reason we're here: grow and evolve, contribute, and help others grow and evolve to higher levels. But the partnership, where, as the title of today is, ego versus spirit, and when you
Yeah.
talked about skills with couples, ego should be so little part of this relationship. So little. Ego is about protecting, preserving, and proving. Okay. So anytime we're in conflict with a partner and we step back and we realize, I'm just trying to prove I'm right, protect my image, preserve status quo or something that feels threatening to me, we're an ego. And if a couple is in conflict and ego, it's never going to go well. Never.
Yeah.
It will turn into a power struggle. And as long as they stay in that inertia of back and forth, proving, preserving, protecting, proving, and can I like to teach them to drop down into their heart, which would be spirit, and that's really difficult for people because, like you said, we were not taught these things. Some of
Right.
it's easier to drop heart just because that's how we're wired, but for other people, they're terrified to drop into their heart and learn to communicate with their spouse, partner, mate, from a heart to heart level and speak that truth, for multiple of reasons. But when you can move a couple to that level, and I will say my husband and I operate in this level. Do we stay here constantly? No. We definitely can bounce into ego, but we have worked that we can recognize when we are in ego and go, okay, this is ineffective. We got to walk away and be able to come back and speak from our hearts. And what that does actually becomes is healing. Now my heart
Yeah.
is heard. Now you can
Yeah.
validate my heart. I can validate your heart. I can comfort your wounding, give you a counter experience that makes you feel as though where you weren't once seen or valued, I will be the one to see and value that part of yourself. And
Yeah.
that's what I call that new face for marriage.
Awesome.
It's
Christina,
not, yes.
thank you for
That,
being on Shellie Live. This has been a great conversation today. And any last words for our listeners that are listening in?
I think I wrote that. Last words, and maybe this is just me intuitively, like we started with emotional, and I'm sorry, we talked about cherish. And you said,
Yeah.
we don't always know what it means. I wanted to clarify what emotional intelligence is, and I did a little research for today's show. We know that, these are statistics. Men are lower in emotional intelligence, EI, than women. For whatever reason, doesn't matter. But I want to define what emotional intelligence is. It's the capacity to be aware of, control, and to handle interpersonal relationships judiciously and empathetically. And empathy is a huge part of emotional intelligence. To be able to put yourself in another's shoes and not only speak from your ego head experience. And that actually, the reality is, this was my latest statistic, 35% of men may have mastered emotional intelligence. And I'm not saying that it cannot be learned. Again, something the society is evolving into, and I'm hopeful that we can educate more. But without this, it's a huge reason why relationships implode, and where women are growing by leaps and bounds and awakening. They are sensing that this emotional intelligence is crucial in their partnerships. I'm not saying everybody has a right to live their lives as they choose, but from my perspective,
as a society and as a world in of itself, a lot of us are awakening to a newness that we didn't see before. Whether we're men or women, it doesn't matter. It's just that we're all elevating to a newness, and sometimes we have to go, there's different levels, different roads for everybody. And so thank you for being on the show today. Next week's segment, we're going to be doing Q&A and answering questions that have been coming through as we've been working through this program of the Uncherished Wife, recovery from the emotionally absent man, or I'll say person. And so stay tuned. It'll be a rich and engaging conversation. And we are going to be Christina will be putting on a workshop together. We're looking at the month of March called The Goddess Unleashed. And we should have the dates and details worked out by next week. So stay tuned. Thank you for joining Shellie Live, and have a blessed day.